this video, we are looking at the subject of task achievement. We're going to read a Task 2 essay question together and break it down into its core components. And then we're going to analyze a Band 9 response that was written for me by an examiner and pinpoint the areas in the response that address the needs of the question. And I think you'll find this lesson very interesting as every sentence in the model response connects to the question in some way. For more videos like this one, visit my blog at IELTSIELTS.com and please leave a like on this video. Today's question was seen in Sydney, Australia in June of 2017, and it reads, "These days, many people prefer to rent rather than buy their own house. Why is this so? Discuss the relative advantages and disadvantages of renting or buying and give your opinion. Give your own opinion. Give reasons for your answer and examples from your personal experience where appropriate." Okay, so this is one of the more complex questions that you could possibly see in your examination. This question has 5 items that need to be addressed in the candidate's response. The first is the "why is this so" portion of the question. So why do people rent? Secondly, you're expected to discuss the relative advantages and disadvantages of renting or buying. So basically present some sort of discussion in the response. You're expected to share your opinion. And then fourthly, you're expected to give reasons or some sort of support for that opinion. And finally, you're expected to include personal experience to the degree that you can. So there really are 5 major items that you need to hit. And in the essay we are going to read together today, you'll see that every sentence has some sort of connection to one of these 5 items, and I will identify them as we read through the essay together. So here is the Band 9 model response essay. In most major cities in the West, people are opting to rent a home instead of buy. This is mostly because house prices have increased dramatically while personal income has not, a trend that means mortgage repayments now account for a much larger share of income than in the past. Renters have more disposable income every week than buyers, and this is a big attraction. However, in my opinion, this is a false economy, and in the long run, I believe that the advantages of buying a property greatly outweigh the short-term savings to be made by renting. Okay, so let's look at this introduction paragraph. Now, this introduction paragraph connects to the essay question in a number of different ways. Now, aside from the first sentence that just introduces the reader to the topic that will be talked about in this essay, each sentence in this response connects directly to one of those 5 items that I was talking about before in the essay question. So if we look at the second sentence, we see this is mostly because house prices have increased dramatically while personal income has not. So just the setup of this is mostly because, we know that this is connecting to why people rent. So it's addressing point number 1. Renters have more disposable income every week than buyers, and this is a big attraction. So of course this is, it's sort of, introducing the discussion that's going to be had in the essay. It also, though, addresses point number 1. So why do people rent? That's a direct response to point number 1. And then we get to this part that sort of counters these points that are illustrating why people rent. It says, however, in my opinion, this is a false economy, and in the long run, I believe that the advantages of buying a property greatly outweigh the short-term savings to be made by renting. So of course, this is the number 3, the give your opinion portion of it. When you read this, the reader is 100% clear on where the writer stands with regards to what the essay question is asking. So as you can see, even in this introduction, several points are addressed, or several areas that need to be addressed in the question are addressed in this area. So then the real discussion portion of the essay takes place. So the first supporting paragraph reads, while it is certainly cheaper week by week to rent than pay a mortgage, the renter misses out on the large capital gains to be made when buying a home. When I took out my own mortgage on my 2-bedroom apartment, my repayments on a $400,000 loan were about $600 a week, compared with $500 a week for rental value on a similar property. However, over the past 3 years, my apartment has appreciated by more than $250,000, greatly outweighing the $15,000 I would have saved by renting. In addition to this, my mortgage payments secured an acquisition of property that will remain valuable for my family into the future. Financial growth of this sort is not possible through renting. Okay, so this paragraph, of course, offers a lot of support for the writer's opinion. So, we're covering number 4 in the list, and then again reiterating number 3, so why the writer feels that buying is indeed better than renting. Now, there is some concession that is offered to the side of renting. So you see here, while it is certainly cheaper week by week to rent than pay a mortgage. Okay, so the writer is saying here that that is indeed true. However, and then goes on to say the renter misses out on the large capital gains to be made from buying a home. Now we get into the example area. So this example is from the writer's personal experience. So we're covering number 5 in our list of points that need to be covered. And they go on to explain how this personal experience proves that buying a home is indeed a more sound financial decision. Okay, so again, that's part of the discussion of whether someone should buy a home or rent a home. Then they share an additional point. So in addition to this, my mortgage payments secured an acquisition of property that will remain valuable for my family into the future. So again, giving additional reasons why they are of the opinion that they presented in the introduction paragraph. And then sort of a closing, financial growth of this sort is not possible through renting. Okay, so once again, connecting this entire paragraph back to their central opinion. Now, if we go to the second supporting paragraph, the writer carries on. Renters do not only lose out on capital gains, they also lose in terms of security and peace of mind. The roof over their heads once their lease is over is always at the mercy of the landlord, who might at any time decide to sell the property. The landlord can also put up the rent when they feel the market warrants it. Further, unless the renter invests their savings judiciously, the money they save will be frittered on day-to-day life, leaving them very much poorer than the buyer once retirement looms. Okay, so the first sentence in this paragraph very nicely introduces additional points that are going to be used to support the writer's opinion. So this addresses the needs for discussion between advantages and disadvantages, and also the writer's opinions, number 2, number 3. The roof over their heads once their lease is over is always at the mercy of the landlord, who might at any time decide to sell the property. Again, this is giving reasons for the writer's position. The landlord can also put up rent whenever they feel the market warrants it. So again, providing discussion between the advantages and disadvantages, also giving reasons. And finally, further, unless the renter invests their savings judiciously, the money they save will be frittered on day-to-day life, leaving them much poorer, very much poorer, than the buyer once retirement looms. Okay, so bringing the discussion to a close and very much solidifying the reasons that surround the writer's opinion. Okay, so you can see how every sentence here is in some way working towards one of these 5 needs in the question. Now we get to the conclusion paragraph. In conclusion, while a first mortgage will cost more each week than renting, the advantages of buying, including capital appreciation and housing security, greatly outweigh the short-term savings to be made by renting. All right, so the writer here is once again once again saying that this is indeed a discussion and that there are advantages and disadvantages for both sides. So some concession here. While a first mortgage will cost more each week than renting, that is indeed true. Then the writer goes on to say it's sort of a summary of what's been talked about earlier in the essay. So the advantages of buying, and then they summarize the two positions that were brought up in the two supporting paragraphs, which were appreciation, creating wealth, and then in the second supporting paragraph they talked about the security that comes from owning property instead of just renting it, so housing security. Okay. And then drawing everything to a close in this final little bit, greatly outweigh the short-term savings that can be made by renting. So as you can see, the essay is a very thorough approach to the 5 different needs of this essay question. And so it's no real mystery that an essay like this would score full points for task achievement. So I hope that quick little video was helpful. I'll include a text version of this essay in the description part of this video if you would like to download it and analyze it yourself. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next video.